Right, so what you got here?
If everything is impermanent and has no inherent existence, how is it possible to accumulate merit or perform dedication? Why do we do it? Question mark.
Okay, whoever asked this question must know something about the essential core debate or argument or core philosophy of the Madhyamika. Anyway, we can say a few things about this topic, about the emptiness or impermanence and dependent arising of creating merit and performing dedication and so forth. The fact that everything is empty or everything impermanent implies that everything has no permanent self-entity, right? So last time we talked about logic. Do we need the logic on the path of Buddhist journey? We need to use this logic of thinking, this one. We need to bring the rational. So it's not about a magical kind of mystic thing here. If everything is empty of unchanging, self-existing entity, it exists only in the web of interconnected, non-inherent things. Therefore, it is only possible to accumulate merit, perform dedication, and perform all other actions, spiritual endeavor, because cause and effect are infallible, based on emptiness and dependent arising. So this is a little bit confusing if I say this big things in one paragraph. So let's start with one quote from Nagarjuna. Mula Madhyamika Karika, root to middle way verses. Whatever is dependently arising, like creating merit or dedication, these actions or apparent existence we are living in, we call that the emptiness. Whatever is dependently arising, we call that the emptiness. They are empty precisely because they arise due to other factors and do not have a self-sustaining entities or sustaining nature. In Prasangika Madhyamika, emptiness and dependent arising are viewed as inseparable, two sides of the same coin that reveal the true nature of reality. This is very, very important in the core teaching of Madhyamika, and also one step further, Chandrakirti, which inherited Nagarjuna view and interpreted or expanded this view, Nagarjuna view, and established a school considered to be the highest Prasangika view. First of all, what is emptiness? And what is dependent arising? Like the concept of emptiness, shunyata, means that the phenomena do not exist independently or inherently. It's not about nothingness, do not exist at all. So that's become one extreme. So this is very important to understand what emptiness means in this context. Then they lack unchanging intrinsic essence. At the same time, dependent arising, prati eka samutpada, that's the Sanskrit word. Dependent arising, what is it? Refers to the way all phenomena, all things arise in dependence upon causes, conditions, parts, and conceptual labeling, naming, name, and language. Okay? So together, they explain that the phenomena appear and function due to their interdependence, yet they are ultimately empty of inherent existence. Does that make sense? Logical? This insight clarifies that emptiness is not just a void or nothingness, not existing at all, but rather a middle way. So that is the essence of the middle way view, middle way or center or Madhyamika between nihilism, things do not exist at all, and eternalism, is that called? Like permanently, forever exist. This is the Buddha's discovery, right? Middle way. Middle way between nihilism and eternalism. Phenomena exist conventionally. So now we can kind of bring this two truths. phenomena exist conventionally and function meaningfully within the relative world due to their dependent relationship. But ultimately, they lack any unchanging essence. Very clear, no? This is very important. In practice, this relationship allows the practitioners like us to view reality in a way that avoid attachment to inherent identities while engaging compassionately in the world of interconnected causes and conditions. So causes and conditions are infallible. We cannot negate that the Buddha's discovery. So embracing this understanding helps dissolve the grasping at the self and others and is pivotal for progressing toward enlightenment. This understanding as a practitioners, very important sometimes. Okay, everything is empty, then why we do that? Because everything is empty, therefore we need to pay attention or every detail. We need to accumulate karma and so forth. Padmasambhava said, my view is as vast as the sky. View is this ultimate view, right? View is as vast as the sky, like empty sky or Mahamudra, or in Dzogchen term, maybe Tripa. But my action is as precise as the valley flower. Pay attention every detail. So that's the kind of idea, understanding. This is the core teaching of the last half of the Lama Tsongkhapa's, for example, three principal aspects of the path. He described in a concise form what is the definition of not having completed the analysis of a right view, then definition of having completed the analysis, then the particular special quality of the prasangika view. So those things are very important understanding for us as practitioners. So merit and dedication. So you asked about accumulating merit and performing dedication. They matter, very important, because despite impermanence or changing, every thought, word, and deed influences the vast interconnected web of life. For example, in dedication prayers, we acknowledge this interconnectedness, turning impermanence into a force of compassionate action. So we can talk about this way, as well as conventional reality or the deceptive reality and ultimate reality, absolute reality. Those two truth point of view, we can talk about this subject as well. For example, dedication merit in the field of grounded in this conventional reality, but it works, it's infallible, it's true in terms of conventional reality. That's important too. It's sometimes translated this term kunzop denpa. Kunzop means covering up. Sometimes translated deceptive reality. It's a deceptive, but within the context of deceptive reality, there's a two stupid one and also true to deceptive reality. So that's very important to understand that. Therefore, karmic cause and effect need to be paid attention. Then absolute or ultimate realities of emptiness ultimately do not exist, but not exist at all, exist the emptiness of inherent existence. So I want to emphasize this power of intention and interdependence in shaping our life and the spiritual path. This approach is significant to two reasons. One is the one I just said. It acknowledges the power of intention, power of mind, and interdependence in shaping our lives and the spiritual path. Second, that even though merit and dedication are part of relative reality, deceptive reality, they act as an essential tool on the journey of realizing ultimate reality. You know what I mean? So ultimate reality or ultimate truth, where the notion of accumulation and dedication dissolve into the direct experience of non-duality. This is very important, especially in our tradition. Lama Tsongkhapa really establish this, because around Lama Tsongkhapa's time, there are lots of confusions and all these Dzogchen or those people just, okay, ultimate reality is just resting and didn't pay attention to this relative reality. So all kind of thing, everything is empty, so I can do anything, and drinking and all this sexual misconduct or whatever. Around that time, Dharma was quite chaotic, so-called degenerated. Then Lama Tsongkhapa appeared and clarified about this, or expanded Nagarjuna, actually, Buddha's teaching, and which was expanded by Nagarjuna, which are clarified by Chandrakirti, and then Tsongkhapa came, then clarified this way. It's very clear and very important to understand this point for us practitioners.
You mentioned that it was clarified, Lama Tsongkhapa was it in the Lam Rim? The difference.
In the wisdom section, he spent, because that was my thesis, he spent like a last 1/3 of entire big volume of Lam Rim Chenmo was dedicated to wisdom section. He was doing this kind of analysis, scrutinizing the reality. And then this one, three principal aspect of the path, concise version, condensed version of Lama Tsongkhapa's. This is very convenient to go back to this again and again. Because philosophy gets muddy, especially around that time. Nowadays, too, we have to, but we in the West, we are quite sharp and also logical thinking. It's not that difficult to intellectually understand this. So our job is to first intellectually understand, then contemplate, meditate, analyzing, and debate, perhaps. That's what monk does, right? Debate, and then meditate and internalize, and then become a part of you. When we look at the great Lama who have a glimpse or realize emptiness, their action, look at their action, so precise, they pay attention. Every detail dealt with precision. Does that make sense?